how to get enough traction for your startup so that investors will invest in you so you can get funding, or even to get investors having a conversation with you. We've talked a lot in previous series about the different stages of funding. Now I want to get into how do you achieve the traction? It's all about growth, velocity, because traction is an indicator of how much you figured out your startup, how viable it is. Do people actually want your product? Is it going to grow fast enough for investors to make the calculation and to know you are the right founder, you have the right startup idea, you've got market validation, you've discovered your customers, you've automated customer acquisition, all that stuff. So how do you actually get to the point where you're achieving traction? I wanted to create this video because I've had several conversations with founders through our advisory session at startups.com, our online community-based founder-to-founder accelerator. And many founders get a little confused, or they get overwhelmed by all the things they think they should be doing and all the plans that they have. And what do I do on a daily basis? These are the questions that we're asking. So I'm going to show you a method and technique that's very simple and is based on using a sports analogy or a sports metaphor. I don't know which one it is. Metaphor, analogy, sports, something. Anyways, I love sports. I love professional sports. I love watching sports. I'd love to be, if I had any job that was offered to me that I would just quit everything just to go do that job, it would be an NFL head coach, a head football coach, maybe a general manager, but head football coach is something I'm very passionate about. I use something called the Scoreboard Method. Now, this is a baseball scoreboard, and many people get confused and they go, this is a very confusing scoreboard. And that's the reason baseball maybe is not as popular, because it's not like basketball where you can see just points, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to break this down and make it super easy, because I use the Scoreboard Method to drive that traction, manage the teams, determine how to prioritize and what to do. So let's go back and let's look at another scoreboard here. I've created the startups.com scoreboard, and this one's very simple. It's competition, visitor, home, visiting team and home team, and whoever has the highest score at the end of 9 rounds wins. So right now it's visitor, and right now it's home. Okay, 3-9 in inning 6. This has to reach 9, and whatever's higher gets there. And I like to think startups.com, we're the home team, we're your home online accelerator, plug. We are winning 9-3. And we want to get to inning number 9, which is the end of the game. Now, how does this help? Well, what I love about sports is that when you get to the point where you get to the end of the game and you're looking at the scoreboard, there are no lies. The truth is out there. It is in your face. It is very clear. Your metrics are there. Home, away, who won. And you can make as many excuses as you want. You can say, well, we really tried. We gave it our college go, or we don't have enough players. We don't have enough marquee players, et cetera, right? We didn't have the right strategy. It was bad luck. The team was better than us. The other team has more money than us, et cetera. You can bellyache all day long, but the purity of that scoreboard right in front of you, it does not lie. And so what I do with my teams, my startup teams, or when I'm advising or coaching other startup teams, is I say, get used to going in front of the scoreboard and becoming so detached from it. You can be passionate, but emotionally you're detached from the score if you lose. In other words, you look at it, you're not making excuses or you're not getting insecure. I do this when I have reviews with executives. I say, let's look at the score. Let's look at the KPIs, the metrics, the OKRs, however we're measuring it. And did we win? We win, or didn't we win? It's a simple yes or no question. Let's look at score. And if that executive, that founder's like, but Ed, I tried this and I tried that. And I go, I understand where you're coming from. We're going to acknowledge all that. We just want to just sit here and accept the score for what it is. And that just takes everything from going down, preventing things from becoming personal and putting in a process where personalities don't have to flare up and people are getting insecure about it. It's just, did we win or did we lose? And that's the hallmark of a really great team, that they're able to go look at the score. When Tom Brady, arguably the greatest football player of all time, goes and looks at the score, he's like, he could have played his face off, but he sees that they lost and he says something has to change. I acknowledge the score. So that's what you want to get to. Now, what is the score? Well, that's where traction comes into play. So think about it this way. Let's say you have a business to business, business to business, a B2B, a SaaS company. You may say, well, to get us to the point, and these are real numbers, by the way, to get us to the point where we can qualify for investment or to get in front of investors, we need to be hitting, let's say 10. That's not a great color there. Let's switch this color up and let me go next one. So we need to be hitting 10K to, let's say, 25K MRR, monthly recurring revenue, right? So that's it. If we get there, we win. It's pretty much, how that happens. Or let's say that you're in a consumer-facing app and you have transactions, you want to get to a 250K, revenue run rate, right? Run rate. 250K in sales. Or you say something such as, we're building an audience, so we need 25K to 50K daily active users. That's what's going to get us to the point where we know that we've won. It's pretty much, what it boils down to. So that could just be very simple, because you want to be picking a score that investors can understand, and investors can understand revenue. Investors can understand growth in terms of the audience, etc. So you stand in front of investors and say, here's what we do. Here's the problem. Here's our unique solution. And guess what? We made $250,000 this year already. They're going to be impressed. That's pretty much simple. Can we get there or not? You want to set that scoreboard up so you know that you're winning or not. Now we're going to get into the little more technical scoreboard, but your team has to agree this is where we want to get to, come hell or high water, because if we don't get to this, investors aren't going to talk to us. Our startup is not valid. We've invalidated our assumptions, and it's not a startup that people want to use or pay for, etc. It's nothing personal. Most startups don't succeed. Of all the funded startups, only 1% of funded startups, at least seed funding, make it to unicorn status. 0.05% of all startups will receive venture capital funding. It may not be, it's not a personal thing. You just might wrong market timing, you just overlook something, etc. You just didn't have the right investment thesis for your time and to have the right set of assumptions, or you had the right set of assumptions, just couldn't validate them, etc. There's a myriad of things, but you just look at the score. Are we getting the users? Aren't we getting the users? Now, here we are. So then how do you break this down? Well, what you do is, this is the score and then 9 innings. Now, there's some key things that we want to look at here, okay? So we've got the, this is the batter that's up, balls and strikes. Like, this is the batter, balls and strikes. I'm using this wrong pen. My apologies. This is just an infuriating situation that I got going on. Okay. Batters, balls, strikes. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. So if you get 3 strikes, you're out, and then you get 3 outs per inning. And then here are your innings over here, right? You got your inning 1, 2, 3. So this is a progression of the game. And this is what I like about baseball, is I can see what happens inning per inning, and other sports break this down. But here you've got, now, if you know baseball, just bear with me. You got your runs, you got your hits, right? And you got your errors. So these are all the metrics that go into the final score And so what happens is your final score is 14-8. So if this, if this was startups.com, right? If this was us as the home team, then what happens is 14-8, we lost. So we look at the scoreboard and go, what do we have to change? Now, how we get from inning to inning, that's where you want to think about it from week to week. In other words, one of the easiest ways to figure out how to manage inning to inning is to really set a clear, intentional growth rate of 10% week over week, which is 40% week over month, which is kind of like the minimum barrier of entry these days to get the attention of institutional capital. So you say week over week, 10% growth. So it's either revenue or the users or registration, something that's going to indicate that you're achieving traction. So picking the right metric, picking the right North Star is going to be incredibly important. And then you say 10% week over week, inning per inning, we need to be growing 10% per week. And this was taught to me, way back from Y Combinator. They said, put it on a sticky, put your North Star, put it on your laptop, and be obsessed with how to achieve that 10% week over week growth. Here's what's great about this is everything becomes very crystal clear. You look at the score, you look at the inning, and you look at the score at the end of the inning, and you say, did we hit that 10% week over week? Yes or no? Very simple. If we didn't, what do we have to change? If we did, should we continue doing? And so what I do is after the inning, so every week I measure the score, and we ask ourselves this question: what should we start? What should we stop? And what should we continue doing that's been working? It's very simple. And so you can take all your plans and all your annual planning and your business plan and stuff, and you can just put it all aside. Maybe you have to show the banks for some loans or some other investors who don't understand what investing in startup is. And you say, okay, every week we're going to go start, stop, continue doing. And it's like, okay, let's start this experiment. We tried this last week. Let's stop that. This got us to the 10%. Let's continue doing it. And then let's iterate on it and experiment. And that's simple. Every week, this is what I would do. Every week, get my team together and say, did we win the inning? Yes or no? Are we going to get to this place? Because if we didn't win the inning and we string losing innings together, we got to make some drastic changes. We're not going to get to our final destination to know that we won the final score that we need. And if it's yes, no, doesn't matter. And I get everybody just detached and not taking personal. I go, what do we need to start, stop, continue doing? Everybody brainstorms, we divvy out, we delegate, and it's simple as that. And our plan, our operational plan, our strategic plan, and all the tactics lasts all of 1 week. And then we put it all on the drawing board again, and anything can be challenged. Here's the best part. Once you start stringing these things together and you got a whole bunch of continuing, then you can put in process and systems. So we just know every week we're going to be doing this until it doesn't work. And then we ask ourselves, should we stop doing it, etc., if you haven't hit 10% week over week. And it's great if you hit, let's say, 50% 1 week, but then let's say you're at 0 the next week, or you're going backwards. Well, eventually the final score is not going to be where you want it. You'd rather just get some consecutive hits. You don't want like a one big massive blowout inning, although that works in sports. You'd rather just have consistent score increasing week over week to get to that place where you got month over month growth, 10% week over week. It's as simple as that. So let me summarize. Set your scoreboard. Set what constitutes winning. What would be a win? Then you figure out your growth rate and how you're going to measure that, what you're going to do week over week. You measure it at the end of the week. You determine, are we winning or are we losing in a detached way? Take the emotions, personalities out. Allow people to work through all the reasons, etc., to have a conversation about after you've acknowledged the score. Then you go and you figure out what should you start, stop, continue doing that works, and then revisit it week over week. When you are funded and when you are making revenue, yes, you can make quarterly plans and annual plans and have annual strategic meetings because your board and everybody, they're going to want to know. You can't fly by the seat of your pants. But when you're in the beginning stages of startup and you're fighting that traction battle, get investment, that annual plan, what you plan on doing 1 year from now, even 3 months from now, completely irrelevant because it could change, because this creates a cycle, a feedback loop that every week, it's so pure. If you didn't hit that growth rate, that 10% week over week, and you're not winning, that's going to determine a lot of your product development, how you're going to get feedback. Maybe you got to go back and do some more customer empathy interviews. You got to do some more market research. Maybe you find a competitor that's eating your lunch and stealing your week over week growth, etc. Then everything's on the table and you can start to make those plans. And that's what we call a continuous feedback loop or continuous development cycle for your startup. There you have it. Try it. I would suggest, this is what I would suggest. I don't always ask people to watch my videos or share with other people the videos. I would suggest take your team and have everybody watch this video and to discuss it and say, should we be doing this? Do we want to do this? How do we want to do it? And then try it out and go from there. There's your video. Let me know what you think. I've got special office hours coming specifically called How to Get Traction for Funding. So check us out for office hours. Let me know if you need any help. Engage with us on the startups.com community. Look forward to helping you out, and let's work together to get you that traction so you can find those investors. Or, hey, even better idea, get you so much traction you don't even need investors. You're just going to bootstrap your way all the way to glory. It's going to be fantastic. I'll see you in the next video.